What's going on, everyone, and welcome in to this week's edition of the Mast Podcast. I'm your host, Dalton Pence. I serve as a territory sales manager for the Mast Sales Group, covering all of Kentucky, the majority of Indiana, and Southern Ohio. Joining me today, co-owner of 360 Custom Pools and R&R Pool Service, we have Creig Prince in the virtual studio. Creig, thanks for joining us during a pretty busy time of year.
Absolutely. Glad to do it.
Yeah, first off, Creig, I want to get a little bit of an understanding. Two companies here, 360 Custom Pools, R&R Pool Service. Let's put the division off to the side for the moment. Give me a little bit about your background, how you got into the pool industry, how 360 Custom Pools came about, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so it's kind of a strange story. I'm a tech business guy, went to UNT for business. I'm also kind of a gym guy. My brother and I both are. We started out in the gym business. I opened up a gym, 360 Fitness, of all things. And then my father-in-law owned Blue Haven Pools franchise here in East Texas. He had the largest territory. He asked me to come to work for him for several years. Finally did that. And that started me in the pool business. So that was back in 2003, and 22
here we
years
are now.
Yeah. Here we are now. Yeah. And it's kind of funny. The name of the business actually didn't stem from 360 Fitness. My brother and I came up with that name. And it's funny, SCP, they're a big distribution center all over the United States, probably one of the biggest ones. And the back end to their website is Pool 360. And I never even thought of using that. And once I did, I was just like, oh, wow, that's cool. So it's a good transition.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how things come about. So 360 Custom Pools, R&R Pool Service, kind of give me a little bit of an explanation between, even though they're run out of the same house and everything is pretty much all together, give me a little bit of the reason behind the split in the name there.
Sure, absolutely. So 360 Custom Pools, we started it first. It was the build, remodel side of the business. We decided to go ahead and start R&R Pool Service so we could do weekly maintenance and service and be the Pentair warranty station for East Texas. To be able to be a Pentair warranty station, you can't be a regular builder going into everybody's backyards. You've got to be a service maintenance company. So we operate like one company, but we've got two separate names.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's always interesting to ask this question, Creig, because everyone has a different experience. But the good thing about the pool industry, it's like one of those things where even if you have no intention on being in it, once you get into it, it's really, for whatever reason, hard to get out of it. So here you are 20 years in, and I mean, I'm close to 10 years in. I'm thinking, man, I remember when I was like, man, there's no way I'm staying here. Well, life has a funny way of kind of putting us where we are. But I wonder your perspective on this, because things have changed a ton over the past couple of decades, not only in the world, but specifically in our industry. What can you kind of highlight as one thing or a couple things that has drastically changed the most as you look back?
Well, I'll go to simple things. When I first started, back in 2003, if you were building a swimming pool in East Texas, you were building a freeform, organic shaped swimming pool. Through the years, right around 2008, 2009, I started to see a slow transition into more linear, contemporary style swimming pools. Now I build maybe 2 freeform organic pools a year. 95% is all straight line contemporary swimming pools. That's one thing that's definitely changed, just the landscape of what people are interested in as far as design goes. Saltwater pools, those have gone by the wayside for the most part. It's still lingering on a little bit, but I think most builders have stepped away from them just simply because of all the corrosion and damage.
Really? See, that's interesting you say that, because as I've understood this from the beginning, but as I've gotten to talk with various dealers across the country, it's so unique to see what's in style, what's not, how delayed some things take to get to certain markets. And from where I'm at in Louisville, Kentucky, salt is still pretty normal to put on
Mm-hmm.
swimming pools. I think that you're starting to see that trend elsewhere, but I'm interested. What is the what's the alternative that most go with in East Texas now?
So, quick question: are a lot of the pools that are in your area, are they liner pools or fiberglass?
It's a little bit of a mixed bag. Fiberglass, our area is a really large fiberglass zone.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have vinyl. So concrete slash gunite is probably third of the two. It's more the high end residential. So that could be where maybe some of the issue lies.
That's where you see, yeah. So a lot of the fiberglass companies are still using salt a lot. A lot of the
Mhm.
liner pools are still using it quite a bit. Gunite swimming pools, not so much. That's maybe why you see a little bit more of the salt usage versus not. Um, but yeah.
What are people going with? Is it
So
UV or what's the
So there's a
alternative
lot
there?
of alternatives, but the main thing is chlorine. I mean,
Okay.
when
So
you
you'll
have a
never know
saltwater
chlorine.
pool, most people's misconception is that a saltwater pool is not a chlorine swimming pool.
I
It
don't have a I don't
absolutely
have a
is.
chlorine pool. I've got a
Yeah, I have a
saltwater pool.
salt
Gosh,
pool.
it's the
Yeah,
tale as old
yeah.
as time, right?
Yeah, you're manufacturing chlorine. The only thing salt really does besides make the water a little softer is it takes the human factor out of adding chlorine to the swimming pool.
Right. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And there was a comment you made kind of going back just a couple minutes ago where you talked about a lot of your stuff was freeform. And now
Mhm.
it's kind of that linear contemporary design. And that's something that when I looked at your website, and I love getting to really dive into what a company stands for by looking at their website. And I'll be honest with you, Creig, this photo gallery, you all should go to 360custompools.com. This is incredible work, man. I
I
really,
appreciate it.
I mean, I'm blown away by some of this stuff. But one thing that of course, I'm a little bit of a younger guy. I just turned 27 recently. I am really attracted to that modern design. I think it really can complement the house. You put all the neutrals together. Is that sort of a level of intention there from you to sort of really bring out that contemporary design, or is it something that you're like, well, whatever the homeowner wants, we'll go ahead and put it out there?
Well, I mean, you've got to look at sometimes when you go into backyards, people have no idea what to do. They just know they want a swimming pool and they want your professional guidance to steer them in the right direction for the type of design that goes well with their house, with their backyard. And a lot of times it screams contemporary, a lot of times it screams freeform, and sometimes it's in the middle and you could go either direction.
Mm-hmm.
Some customers have a direction before you get there. They've had swimming pools or built them in the past or had a house that had an existing pool and they
Right.
know they want to stay away from a free form. They want more of a contemporary design. So it's about a 50-50, but almost everyone that knows the direction they want to go, it's contemporary over freeform. It's just that
So,
sleek, straight line,
yeah.
clean design. And it's just, there's something about it. And it's timeless. Straight line
Mhm.
pulls are timeless, they'll never go out.
So the designing process is always a really intriguing part of the whole conversation because everyone does it differently. Some people use 3D models. Some people want to
Yes.
go out to the site and say, you know what, I have to physically be here, and then we'll talk about it. What's your sort of forte and line of action there in terms of trying to help that design process go smoothly for a customer that doesn't really know what they want?
So I'll tell you, I'm glad you asked that. So, one thing that's interesting, I have completely fought, and I'm looking down at my phone while I'm talking to you because I'm looking up something to be able to show you. Uh, I have fought the 3D side of the business for years and years. I got a copy of
Mhm.
3D Structured Studio back in like 2007, way before anybody was even using it. I started
Right.
using it, but I realized the downfalls of it. Sometimes
Hmm.
it gives a false representation. And if you've just got a regular sales guy that doesn't have a lot of construction back end and a lot of knowledge to be able to manage expectations, it can cause you a lot of problems. Second, the 3D program is not a construction program. It is a presentation program. So, for instance, if you draw something in 3D like this, that's
Yeah.
an actual photo of a swimming pool. Now, you
Hmm.
can make it look like that in a 3D program, but the 3D program will not do the takeoffs of the gunite thickness, how you're going to have transitions between materials. If you don't know how to do that stuff, 3D is not going to help you, and you've got to draw it in AutoCAD. So in AutoCAD, you can actually peel back the layers. This drawing
Ah.
is the 2D drawing of this guy.
Yeah, so it's like you have to kind of it's like a part one and part two. You can use the 3D to sort of get that conversation going, and then you use the secondary one to say, well, look, there are some things that you need to know about this 3D picture, and here's a little bit more of some of the ins and outs of how this is going to work and what it looks like more accurately.
Correct. I love the 3D
Intriguing.
program for a presentation, but to actually hand somebody a set of plans and to go over it, you've got to use AutoCAD. If you're trying to build something complex with a 3D program, it's not going to happen. It's not going to turn out right.
Yeah, no, I get that for sure. When it comes to a customer that, let's say Dalton wants a pool, well, Dalton really doesn't have pool money at the moment, but let's just say Dalton has the pool money, right? I go say, hey, Creig, man, I really want a pool. I love your ideas. I love your portfolio and photo gallery, but I just don't know what I want. How do you sort of get that ball rolling? Like, what are some of the main questions and comments that you're making early on?
So the biggest hurdle with that entire conversation piece is budget.
Hmm.
That is the determining factor for everything, and that is the I call it the nasty B word because nobody wants to talk about it. It's the big
Right.
elephant in the room that nobody wants to discuss. Customers think that you're going to try to spend all their money.
Hmm.
That's
Right.
not what it's about. And usually most budgets are most of the time customers budgets are $30,000 to $50,000 less than what they're asking for. So overcoming that and then showing them what actual swimming pools cost and giving them
Hmm.
real world examples. I usually carry around 5, 6, 8 working construction projects with me at all times, and I'll show them photos
Sure.
that go along with those and actually show them the contracts of those projects so they have a realistic view of how much things cost and what direction we need to go to get them as much of what they want or all of what they want in the budget that they're looking to
Hmm.
spend.
I one another aspect. I'll be honest with you, Creig. I am a huge fan of pool finish. I understand that it might be easier just to sub the work out and have broom finish concrete, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that for the projects that are looking to add a little bit more pizzazz, I mean, I think coping can go a long way. That's something that you're putting a ton of focus on because everyone's going from like one of the main answers before without going too far off topic here. One of the main things that people were talking about changing so much from the late 90s, early 2000s to now is going from just putting a pull into creating an entire experience and vision in the backyard. And I think one way it seems simple, but it's extremely effective pool coping, even pavers around it. Is that something that you're putting a ton of focus in?
So typically, so there's a lot of different directions you can go with hardscape. And hardscape is going to be, I call decking, which is broom finish concrete or salt finish concrete or exposed aggregate.
Right.
Salt finish concrete is something we predominantly put in because it's not a cool deck or a cooler texture, but it's cooler to walk on because you
Right.
have air pockets below your feet.
Mm-hmm.
Putting down pavers is a great way to do it. There's a few different ways to go about doing that. You can put in the concrete below as subdeck to the pavers and put the pavers on top, or you can have a silica sand type base, maybe a DG base, decomposed granite base. One thing we are doing a lot of is integrating turf
I was going to
into
ask you about
backyards.
that. I was going to ask what your
So
thoughts were on turf.
like this is a photo of a pool that we just finished up last
Okay.
year, and the backyard is small. It's a long slender swimming pool and spa, and the entire backyard is turf, and it's amazing. I mean, it turns out really nice, and you can put lawn furniture on it. You can play games on it. I mean,
Let me ask you
It's
this,
pretty.
Craig, to kind of follow up on that. You see something else become very popular, and that's putting hardscapes into the turf to kind of give it a little bit more of that depth in there. What are your thoughts on that, as opposed to just
Absolutely.
just putting a ton of? Is it very case specific? I feel like I'm trying to make things so black and white when really there's so much gray area because everyone's backyard, everyone's budget, everyone's everything is just different.
Correct. That's right. Incorporating areas of turf, areas of hardscape, whether it's pavers or broom finish or salt finish concrete, a lot of times we'll do something similar to this where we have the turf and then we have hardscape areas like that's
Ah,
for the
okay,
diving board.
yeah.
And then we have pads over here for chase lounges and
Hmm.
sitting areas. And then you have hardscape over here too, as well, coming directly off of the house. So incorporating pads and decorative path walkways separated by gravel, and you've got drainage and everything in between all that. It's nice.
One thing that I love a lot, and I see, or you're starting to see a bunch of fiberglass manufacturers put these in there because it's becoming really popular. Tanning ledge versus
Mm-hmm.
no tanning ledge. I know you put a good amount of them in. Is that something that, I mean, there's some things that dealers push sort of pretty quickly. Say, hey, look, this is some stuff you can do. When you're looking to add like water features and tanning ledges and maybe benches, and I understand that the budget question is coming into effect here.
Oh yeah.
Where does that sort of slide into the decision making and how quickly you decide to push it?
So tanning ledges, benches, regular entry steps, a lot of that goes into play with, do they have kids? Is the mom really big into sunbathing? Does she want to be underneath an umbrella on a tanning ledge, not directly in the sun, watching the kids play? So I've got a lot of customers that are like, look, we've had tanning ledges in the past. It's just
Right.
unused space. It takes up a lot of pool space, a lot of
Yeah.
good real estate in the swimming pool. We don't want it. It's You just have to guide people and let them
Just
know what
depends,
it's
right?
used for. Yeah, I mean,
Asking the
it
right
it really
questions.
does depends. Yeah, you got to ask the right questions,
Yeah,
and
I feel like that's in any level of sales. I mean, I had my,
you got to
I
take
mean,
people on a journey and
yeah.
make them understand what they're getting. And yeah, depth is another big thing. Swimming pool depth, making
Hmm.
people understand how that impacts the floor
Right.
and how much
I
shallow space they are not going to have.
I know that we haven't talked a lot about the service side, Craig, just because I really think that this building conversation has been so unique. And of course, for those listening, if you can take one thing away from this and maybe say, you know what, that's unique, I'm going to apply it to my business. Or maybe you're a homeowner listening and thinking, you know what, I'd like to put that in my next project. Then I feel like Craig and I did our jobs. But Craig, one thing I like to do every show is to incorporate a mailbag question that's pretty, you know, it's pretty similar to the discussion at hand and pertains to that. This is one I've been sitting on for a little bit, waiting for the right opportunity. And with you being sort of that service center, I think it goes hand in hand. What do you think the biggest mistake that service companies make daily or routinely are in the field?
Ooh, wow.
It's a
Biggest
pretty,
mistake
I
service
know I
companies
put you
make
on
in
the
the
spot
field.
here.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was one
No,
like, man, I can't just ask this to anyone. Like, I have to ask this to someone that is really a service professional. I'm like, well, hey, R&R pool service. That's
so
professional.
let me ask you a question to define something. When you say
Okay.
service, you're talking about actually working on the equipment pad, or are you talking about the weekly maintenance guys
It can
that are
be,
going?
I'm not going to limit it.
Okay,
I won't limit it.
so I'm going to jump straight to weekly maintenance because we had a company meeting this morning. One of the
Okay.
big things with weekly maintenance guys is, have you ever been driving home? You had a 15-minute drive and then you pull into your driveway and you had no clue how you got home, but you made it safe.
Yeah. Subconscious.
You go on autopilot. The
Right.
biggest thing that weekly maintenance guys will do is they go on autopilot.
Okay.
And you've got to remember, when you're in somebody's backyard and you're putting chemicals in their swimming pool, you're pulling money out of that customer's back pocket every time you do that.
True.
So you've really got to be cognitive of water chemistry, doing the math, knowing the proper gallons that are in the swimming pool. And you've got to do the math. You can't just throw chems in the swimming pool willy-nilly and not have a reason for doing so. And a lot of times guys will just get into routine mode and throw some shock in, throw a little bit of acid in, throw some algicide in, a little bit of muriatic acid, some calcium, things like that. If you're having to add calcium to a swimming pool every week, that means you have a problem.
Yeah.
And you probably have a leak or something going on.
And the time factor as well. I mean, if it's late in the day and they're ready to get home, and look, we're all humans. I mean, everyone I think suffers from that. You're looking ahead to maybe you've got plans that night, but I think it's pretty interesting the way that you describe that, and I think that's a great way to sort of articulate it. But Creig, if you had to pick one thing that we've talked about today, maybe it's something you said, maybe it's a topic as a whole that you want to sort of reiterate and highlight for those listening and saying, you know what, during this 20-ish minute episode, this is really what I want you to take away from this. What would that one thing be?
Oh, wow. I would
just keep putting you on the spot. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna say all of this for the customer. So for all the pool buyers that are out there, it's do yourself a favor and sit down before you have 2, 3, 4 guys come over and talk about a swimming pool build in your backyard. Okay.
And think about an actual budget, because it's not what you're capable of spending. It's what you're willing to spend. You might be able to afford $1 million swimming pool and write a check for it out of your personal checking account and it not affect you one iota.
Man,
but that might not be what you're willing to spend. Yeah. So think about that, because you're going to save yourself personally a lot of time. You're going to save the people who you're getting bids from a lot of time, because they're going to know what you're willing and capable of spending on said project. And it's going to speed up the bidding process. It's going to help you out. It's going to save a lot of time. It's going to make your life a lot easier.
Yeah, I think that you have to, I think when you it's all in that pre-design process of, I think a lot of homeowners just, I mean, again, it's not their fault. They don't know what they don't know. But I do think that having that budget of not only what you could spend, what you are comfortable spending and what you want to spend. And I think that is a completely different conversation. I like that you bring that up. Be sure to check out all of the stuff that Creig does on the website. I mean, it's incredible stuff, next level stuff. But Creig, thank you for taking your time out of this busy Friday. We are in May in the pool industry, so I appreciate all of your time and all of your all's time listening to this. That is going to wrap up this episode of the show. Don't forget, a rising tide raises all ships, so let's raise the bar. We'll talk to you soon. Dalton.